Hello everyone, welcome back to a modelled writing video. If you've seen our videos before, then you will know how we structure them. If you're new here, welcome, and we are going to look at two task 2 questions today. So those are the longer essay style questions. You have 40 minutes to answer these types of questions, and there's a 250 minimum word count. So that is what we're going to look at today. We've got two topics and we will plan them and do the write up as if we were in the exam. So this is great practice for you if you're listening along at home and following along. Then you can think of examples that you might want to use. Obviously, I'll suggest some in the sample essays that we do. But this is great for you to have a think about what you would do with this question, and I'll give you top tips along the way to score those top band scores, which is what we want. So let's have a look then at our first topic, which is all about handwriting. Handwriting for the essay question. And here is the question. Some people think that it is important to teach children the skill of handwriting. Others believe that handwriting is no longer necessary. Discuss both views and give your opinion. Okay, so the last sentence is jumping out to me. This is the question type that we are looking at, and this is what the question wants us to do. Discuss both views and give your own opinion. So it is an opinion question, and we will talk about how we will incorporate that into the answer. Right, so we have to discuss each side. So let's look at the sides, the two different ones. Some people think that it is important to teach children the skill of handwriting. Others believe that handwriting is no longer necessary. Okay, so those are the two different sides there then. So what we will do is we'll jump to our plan and have a think about this a little bit more. Okay, so paragraph 1, we want to think about the side that we don't agree with first. That's a useful structure to have. So the first main body of the essay talks about the side that you don't agree with, but you're presenting the view. And then the second paragraph of the main body discusses the one that you agree with, and then you talk about that. Okay, so in this case, I think I'm going to agree that handwriting is an important skill to teach children. So we're going to start with the fact that handwriting is no longer necessary. That's what we're going to talk about first. And as an example, so we'll present our topic. That's what we're going to talk about. One side, handwriting is no longer necessary. Then we want to explain this and use examples. So let's draw from the idea of technology. Maybe I'll do a dash here. These are your notes, so they don't have to, you can scribble them down. We don't have to make full sentences here. Yes, technology, the fact that lots of things are digitalized. We have keyboards, we have everything's online, even important documents are online. For example, yes, some government documents. I know in some countries the government expects everything to be done online. Taxes are online. You can even sign online now using a special program, PDF signer. So yes, technology is going to be our example. Lots to draw from there. and then we'll link it back to the question and how this is perhaps a less necessary skill in today's society. Okay, so then paragraph 2, we are going to talk about, well, even though technology is very prevalent, which means it's abundant, it's everywhere. We want to argue that handwriting, and this is where our opinion comes in, handwriting is still very important. Why? Let's think about examples here. So it is still used in society, not as much, but it's still used. It helps children with their education. It aids perhaps memory. When you write something down, you're more likely to remember it. It allows children to express themselves. And it is to have a population which the older generations perhaps know how to write and the younger generations don't. That might alienate the younger generations. So I think it's still an important part of society. We'll touch on that. Okay then, so we've got our two sides, both views, and we've given our opinion. Great. So we're answering the question properly, which is a big part of the IELTS part 2. How well did you answer the question? Did you answer the question? Did you perhaps misunderstand the question and go down a different avenue, which is easy to do? So that's why we're doing some practice today. Okay, so we're answering the question, yes. And now we're thinking about the conclusion where we want to just restate what we've put in. It doesn't have to be long. So the rise of, yes, there is perhaps a rise of technology. Handwriting is not as necessary. However, we want to drive home that, however, it is still important, and we'll think of synonyms along the way, different words for these words in the question. But for your notes, you don't have to worry. You can just write down some ideas there. Okay, so planning is really essential in that IELTS Task 2. It will help you stay on track, stay focused, which is a big part of this as well. And I think we're ready now to go to the write-up. Okay, so let's think about our introduction. So for our first paragraph introduction, we want to talk, well, first, we want to do a really important skill. We want to show the examiner that we can paraphrase these two sentences here. So let's start with that. So we have some people. We can paraphrase that and say maybe a section of society, some people, a portion of society, some of society, that's still using some. A section of society, think that it is important. Section of society, believe it is important or vital. That's a good word. Necessary, essential to teach children the skill of handwriting, to maybe impart knowledge to children or to the younger, knowledge regarding handwriting to the younger generation. Let's see if that sounds okay. A section of society believe it is vital to impart knowledge regarding handwriting, or maybe impart handwriting techniques, perhaps, or knowledge to the younger generation. Yeah, that sounds a bit better. Others believe that handwriting is no longer necessary. Okay. So we could say, whilst a different portion or a different group argue that this skill is no longer necessary, futile. That's a good word to say. It's doesn't need to happen. It's useless almost. No longer necessary. This skill is futile. Okay, let's now smoothly go into what we're going to do in our essay. This essay will debate or maybe consider both sides, and we've used argue here. Maybe we can use believe, state, and then we can use argue here, both sides, and argue that handwriting, this essay will consider and argue that handwriting is irreplaceable, maybe. Irreplaceable. And we're checking our spelling throughout as we go along, really important. And yes, that is a big part of making sure that we get those top bands. Okay, let's read it back. A section of society believe it is vital to impart handwriting knowledge to the younger generation, whilst a different group state that this skill is futile. Actually, I think that would be better in one sentence, and then we'll make this a sentence. There we go. So you can edit as you go along. This essay will consider both sides and argue that handwriting is irreplaceable. Okay, there we go. It's short, it's to the point, we've paraphrased, and we've stated what we're going to do. So now we have more time to focus on the body of the essay. Okay, brilliant. So we are going to talk about the side that we don't agree with so much, and we're going to present that side of the argument first. So let's talk about technology and how that is making handwriting less needed in society. So we could say something like, it is undeniable, it cannot be ignored, it is impossible to argue, something like this. That with the rise of technology and the maybe prevalence, which is a good word, it means with the amount, it's everywhere, the prevalence of touch screens and keyboards, touch screens and keyboards, maybe that's 2 words. Handwriting has is used, not as used as it was before, or needed, not as is not always required like it was in the past. Okay, so now that we've got our topic sentence, let's go into some examples. Let's talk about all the things you can do with technology that perhaps in the past we did with our hands and pens. So it is becoming more unusual to take exams by hand. So the IELTS exam, we could use that as an example actually. The IELTS exam can be done online. Yeah. For example, maybe we can include it a bit as a bit of a funny example there. It is becoming more unusual to take exams by hand. Let's think of maybe to write letters or to even sign documents with a pen. This is, these actions are increasingly digitalized, which means they are more and more, they are online, including important or including many governments switching to, we could talk about important documents. Even important documents are online now. We could say important documents required by governments have maybe made the switch. Okay, so we're giving examples. So now we could talk about the fact that due to this, it is argued that handwriting is old-fashioned, it's futile, therefore educational time spent on this could be used for other things more worthwhile, perhaps. Okay, so handwriting is therefore old-fashioned and futile. That's a good word. It means no longer. Oh, but we've used it here. Old-fashioned and we can just leave it at old-fashioned. Oh, another word for old-fashioned. Maybe we could use antiquate, but we'll make sure we'll spell it right. Handwriting is therefore antiquate. And teachers should not use educational time to pass this down to the students. This time could be used for more effectively, maybe. This time could be used more effectively. Okay, should we read it back and see how it sounds? It is undeniable that with the rise of technology and the prevalence of touchscreens and keyboards, handwriting is not always required like it was in the past. It is becoming more unusual to take exams by hand, to write letters, or to even sign documents with a pen. These actions are increasingly digitalized. Even important documents required by governments have made the switch. Handwriting is therefore antiquate. Teachers should not use educational time to pass this down to students. This time could be used more effectively. Maybe this is not needed. I think that says the point in a good way, that last line. Pass this down to the students. Okay, brilliant. So that is the side that we are not agreeing with, but we've presented the view like the question says. So now let's jump into the side that we do agree with, which is that which is that handwriting is important. Okay, so let's open it up with either on the other hand, however, although, the other side, any of these openers. On the other hand, no matter, we want to argue that even though technology is all around us, handwriting is still important. No matter how prevalent technology, how we use prevalent, prevalence, how commonplace technology is in, is that one word? In society, it will never make handwriting no longer necessary, maybe redundant, which means useless. In turn, therefore, it is crucial to teach children how to write by hand. There we go. We've paraphrased handwriting there. How to write by hand. Let's now dive into examples as to why this is still so important. So handwriting is not only used in many factions of life still, such as, I don't know, postcards. You can, maybe we can change that to a more, a better example. Most school exams, because school exams are still done by hand, really, on them for the most part. So handwriting is not only used in many factions of life, still we could say currently. Currently, such as most school exams globally, but it also contributes to a child's education. I want to talk about their how it benefits them still to this day. How does it benefit? It assists with memory, like we were saying before, writing something down, as writing notes down, for example, for instance, aids or helps individuals remember the information, and it also provides an avenue in which students, maybe to change it up so we're not repeating ourselves too much, which students can express themselves. Okay, brilliant. Let's talk about how in the development stage for children this is really important. This is especially important. I don't think we've used that yet. Important for children whose brains are in the key stage of development, and as an additional point, it would be a disservice to them we want to say, not impart this skill and alienate them alienate them from society. To not pass down this skill and alienate them from society. Okay, let's read this back. On the other hand, no matter how commonplace technology is in society, it will never make handwriting redundant. In turn, it is crucial to teach children how to write by hand. Handwriting is not only used in many factions of life currently, such as most school exams globally, but it also contributes to a child's education. It assists with memory, as writing notes down, for instance, helps. We can use commas here. For instance, helps individuals remember the information. Maybe we can do a new sentence here. It also provides an avenue in which students can express themselves. This is especially important for children whose brains are in the key stage of development. Let's do another sentence here. We're just breaking it down. As an additional point, it would be a disservice to them to not pass down this skill and alienate them from society. It is clear handwriting is still relevant and necessary. Okay, let's think about our conclusion then. So we want to restate what we've talked about. On the whole, in conclusion, in summary, it can be seen with the rise of technology that handwriting is used less frequently than in the past. However, by no means something like this shouldn't lead to this being lost, this skill being ignored. By no means should this lead to teachers not educating students in this area. As it is clear, it is valuable and integral to today's society, as it is valuable and integral to today's society. Okay, let's have a look then. We're thinking we want a minimum of 250 words. Let's see how much this comes to. So that takes us to 294 words. So just over the limits, a bit over the minimum limits. But this is still a realistic amount to aim for in the IELTS exam, and this is helped by the fact that we had a really comprehensive plan. So once we're doing the write-up, we can just stay on task and really elaborate, which is, yes, good for those top band scores. Okay, brilliant. So that was our first topic today. I think we've done a great job with that one. So let's go to our next topic, which is all about a gap year. Here is the question. In some countries, young people are encouraged to work or travel for a year between finishing high school and starting university studies. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of taking a gap year before starting university studies. Okay, so what kind of question do we have? We have an advantages and disadvantages question. So we know how to approach that one. We'll talk through that. And the advantages and disadvantages we are going to talk about are this idea of working or traveling between finishing high school and starting university studies. So some of you might have taken a gap year So some of you might not. And that's what this is the topic that we'll be looking at today. So let's go straight into our plan. So simply for this one, we are going to state in the first body paragraph the advantages. In the second main body paragraph, we're going to state the disadvantages. No opinion with this one. We're not being asked the opinion. Okay, so paragraph 1 then, the advantages. What are we going to say? Let's have a think. Well, work and let's do add for advantages. Like I say, these are your notes, so you can scribble them. That's okay. No one's going to be marking these notes. Advantages. Oh, you have a chance to develop personally. You can try different things, you can meet different people, you can experience life outside of education, perhaps work experience you might be able to gain, which employers look highly upon, transferable skills, which you can then take into university, such as better communication skills, better time management, because you've had this year with more independence, perhaps. And of course, if you decide to work, you might have more money. So you might be more financially stable. I'll do a question mark because if you work, or maybe I'll do brackets for if you decide to work. Obviously, if you decide to travel the world, then maybe not. But yeah, that's an option as well. That's an advantage. Okay, so let's talk about the disadvantages then. We'll do a dis-add for this. Okay, so let's see. We could, if a student has decided to use their gap year for other pursuits like travel and not necessarily anything to do with what they're studying, they might be, once they go back into education, they might be at a disadvantage. So they might be academically perhaps behind. They might have lost motivation because of this year, whatever they decided to do. It gives them a year to really think about their education and what they want to do, which might lead some students to, thinking otherwise, thinking different things. Maybe they don't want to do the course anymore. So yes, they might have forgotten some of their subject. They might have it's a big decision, and they might not know how to go back into education. It might be intimidating. So all these things we can touch upon in our disadvantages. Okay, so in conclusion, we will touch upon many advantages. We can sort of state them, and some disadvantages. And then we'll draw upon our essay to help us with the examples there. Okay, so straightforward structure there. Advantages, disadvantages. Let's go to the write-up. Okay, so of course we want to paraphrase to start off with. So we have in some countries. We could say maybe in several nations across the world. Young people are encouraged to work or travel for a year between finishing high school and starting university studies. we could say the youth of the youth, comma. The youth are given the option or are encouraged, advised, maybe advised to take to defer. Yes, when you delay for a year, maybe we could say delayed their studies or their academia for a year, and or maybe their university career, we could say, and find a job instead of work, or go abroad, perhaps. Once they finish school. Okay, let's read this back. In several nations across the world, the youth are advised, once they finish school, to delay their university career for a year and find a job or go abroad. Okay, so we've paraphrased, so now we can go into what the essay will look at. So this essay will maybe delve into or present the possible advantages and also the drawbacks of this decision. No opinion, so we're just going to go straight into it. Okay, let's talk about the advantages. And we can start off with one of the biggest advantages or benefits, so we're not repeating ourselves, of taking a year out. Actually, we could say gap year. That's a common phrase. Is what's the biggest one? Maybe having the opportunity to grow personally as a person, to find out more about yourself and your passions, and your path in life. There we go. So it gives you a chance to really think about what you want to do. And let's dive into some examples now. So employment and travel. So we're going to put them together. We're going to argue that they both create invaluable experiences, offer individuals invaluable experiences. Employment and travel offer individuals invaluable experiences. For instance, these situations might offer the chance to meet different people from all walks of life, potentially gain some work or voluntary experience. And voluntary experience or volunteer experience. Yeah. Some work experience. Perhaps we could say either paid some work experience, either paid or unpaid. Either way, this is looked upon highly from employers. And highly from employers, even though they're going back into university. If students want to find a part-time job at university, this will put them or make them stand out, perhaps. Make them stand out. This will set them apart from the crowd. Set them apart from the crowd. There we go. Okay, so what else does this offer? What other advantages? We've got transferable skills. Yeah, let's talk about those. Interlinked with this point, a person of a young person will get the chance to develop transferable skills such as communication and teamwork that will no doubt that will absolutely be invaluable. We've utilized in higher education, improving their experience. Okay, let's read this back. One of the biggest benefits of taking a gap year is having the opportunity to grow personally, to find out more about yourself and your path in life. Employment and travel offers individuals invaluable experiences. For instance, these situations might might give the chance to meet different people from all walks of life and potentially gain some work experience, either paid or unpaid. Either way, regardless, this is looked upon highly from employers. If students want to find a part-time job at university, this will set them apart from the crowd. Interlinked with this point, a young person will get the chance to develop transferable skills such as communication and teamwork that will no doubt be utilized in higher education, improving their experience. Okay, so I think that's a great advantages paragraph. Now we can think about the disadvantages. So we can say something like, nevertheless, on the other hand, even so, nevertheless, there are some drawbacks. Have we used? Yep. Maybe we can use disadvantages. There are some disadvantages to taking maybe a prep year, we could call it as a synonym. Okay, so let's talk about the fact that maybe they don't work at all, maybe they travel, and this could put them at a few disadvantages. So if a student has traveled and therefore not had any work experience, this could put them them at a, well, financial disadvantage, maybe. Financial disadvantage. A gap year in general. So no matter whether they work or whether they travel, maybe we can say that. If they work or travel, or maybe either work or travel, could for a year, could lead the individual could put the individual at a step behind the other students. Perhaps they will forget some vital aspects of the course we could talk about, and even potentially lose motivation. Okay, so and let's think about the fact that a year out could present many opportunities. A year before university, or maybe time off before university, could lead someone to change their minds and find it hard to commit to something like a course in higher education. Okay, let's read this back. Nevertheless, there are some disadvantages to taking a prep year. If a student has travelled and therefore not had any work experience, this could put them at a financial disadvantage. We've used that again. This could put them at a financial. This could present them with a financial hurdle, maybe. Either work or travel for a year could put the individual a step behind the other students. Perhaps they will forget some vital aspects of the course and even potentially lose motivation. Time off before university could lead someone to change their minds and find it hard to commit to something like a course in higher education, which is a considerable commitment. Oh, we've said commitment. Undertaking. Okay, I think that's good. We've stated the disadvantages there, and we've explained our points there in that paragraph. Okay, time for the conclusion then, to wrap this up. In conclusion, there are many advantages to taking a year out, such as developing transferable skills, although now we'll say although disadvantages, negative aspects, there is a negative side, such as students losing motivation to continue to re-enter or re-enter education. In conclusion, there are many advantages to taking a year out, such as developing transferable skills, although there is a negative side, such as um, for example, if students lose motivation to re-enter education. Okay, I think that's a well-rounded essay there. Both sides, we've answered the question, we've gone back and edited, we've made sure it sounds okay, spelling's okay, lots of high-level words here. Let's check the word counts. So that comes to 287 words for this essay. So over the 250, which is what we're aiming for. So that's perfect. I think that's very doable in the exam, and you can see the structure that we followed. So at home, you can think of your own examples. As long as you're following the structure, then that's the main thing there. Okay, well, thank you for coming along today for our 2 topics, task 2. I hope that's been helpful. As always, let us know if you have any questions. We'd like to hear from you, and see you next time.